office to address the agility demands of digital transformation. The need to launch new product faster, the need to provide straight-through processing is the foundation for digital transformation strategy. Addressing the iceberg holistically and not just focusing on the tip is required for long-term success. So Mohan, these days, everyone is talking about digitalization, and even though insurer understands the importance of their digital strategy, especially after COVID-19, it has transformed from trend to a necessity across industry to go digital. Though we are moving fast, but sometimes I feel we are moving in the right direction. Are we able to plan the digital strategy correctly? Whenever I speak to these digital teams, they feel proud to mention that they are in par by merely implementing the digital portals and mobile applications. But aren't they just the tip of the iceberg? So what are your thoughts, especially when it comes to the insurance context?
Thank you, Jiten. Thank you for setting the stage. Good afternoon to all. Thanks for taking your time and attending the session. Before I get into insurance, I would like to take a small detour to understand these terms what we are using. We are using digital transformation. We say automation, we say digitization. So we need to put some context into this. And it's better to use something which is real and tangible than to use abstract thing like insurance and financial, because in insurance and finance it is a bit abstract. But let me try to put put the context using analogy. I will take agriculture, which is very well known to all of us. So we look at what is automation and what is transformation. Assuming we ask an automation engineer, how do you help in automating this particular problem what the farmer has got? So an automation engineer can come out with a solution like this. He will look at the bull, he will look at the four legs, he will look at the what is the power which is required and try to come out with some mechanized bull, which is an automation. And this in our digital parlance, we call it as digitization. That means there is a paper thing, we are converting into a digital form as is. We are not doing anything different, we are just digitizing it into an electronic form. That's what we look at it as digitization. So when we look at transformation, we are not looking at limiting to replicating things as is. We ask the question why. We ask the question why is this being done? So once you ask this question why a particular activity is being done, then the transformation thinking can come into picture, because you can achieve the same end in mind or result through various means, and a transformation which can happen into picture where we are talking about today. We have these tractors which can help out. Thank God nobody tried to really automate or mechanize the bull as it is. They came out with the wheeled tractors to really revolutionize things actually. So this is what the difference between a digitization or an automation versus a transformation, which fundamentally looks at this question why. We need to keep on asking this question why this particular job is done, why this particular activity is done, what value are we adding to the customer using this activity. So once we keep on questioning this, the value will come into picture and we'll be able to achieve it. And the most important thing is to look at the business transformation as a whole, not at pockets of things and trying to transform. So when you look at pockets of things and try to transform, you may feel like you got some benefit out of it, but over the longer run, the cost, your cost structure on the back end will not support it. So here in this case, if we talk about agriculture, the whole cycle we need to really look at automating. This is the production chain or the agriculture chain. We are looking at completely automating right from soil preparation to plowing to seeding to maintaining, and then using drones, latest technologies as the technology evolves, using drones to using fertilizers and pesticides and other things using the drones, and then harvesting. So what the use of technology to solve a business problem by asking the objective why we are solving this problem, what is the benefit the customer is going to get it, will really help out on a longer run. So with this background, let's come to insurance context now, because till now it's manufacturing, it's all tangible, we can see things, but insurance, it is all a bit abstract. We are talking about value chain. How can we add value? It is something which is what we are sharing is an abstract protection or savings element what we are sharing with the customer. So what is the value aspect of it is where we are looking at in insurance. So let's look at it. So if you have a value chain here like this, a simple conceptual value chain I'm putting it. So there is a customer or distributor who is initiating things, and there is a backend staff who are doing these activities and delivering the result back to the customer or the agent. So if this is the value chain existing for the business, the objective of digital transformation of any organization is to move the vertical line. So we want to move the vertical line as much as possible to the right side. That means what we are doing is we are trying to empower the distribution and staff as much as possible and reduce the workload on the staff, because anything which a staff does is a cost for the organization. So we need to look at how we can empower our customers to do online, how we can empower our distribution, or in today's ecosystem concept, we are talking about more than this. We are talking about partners, we are talking about aggregators. So many things will come into picture in today's context. So fundamentally, what we are talking about in digital transformation is we want to do external empowerment. So we identify the end stakeholders who are the beneficiaries and try to empower them and try to make them the king. So that's what we are really doing here in the digital transformation. So what exactly are we doing? If it's customers, we are asking the customers to go online and self-buy. They can buy medical products, home products, travel products, motor. So whatever it is they want, we allow them to buy online and also self-serve online. That means whatever they want to do their transactions, like payments or renewals, they should be able to do it online. Same way for distribution, they should be able to do their customer service, which is in the terms of sales and service, on the spot, and they should become self-reliant. That means they should not come to the insurance office for any purpose. They should be able to be on the field to do all the jobs using their mobile devices or any portals actually. So that's the objective from the external for the distribution, and also the partners we are talking about on new opportunities and innovation, because insurance distribution is spreading across through various non-traditional channels. So this is an area where the insurance industry needs to really tap and see how they can go through the various non-traditional channels like telecom, integrating with telecoms, integrating with supermarkets, whatever other means we are talking about. Wherever there is an opportunity to ride insurance on other products, so there should be an opportunity there. So fundamentally, the whole objective of digital transformation of an organization is to do the external empowerment of their stakeholders, so that the stakeholders can really help in improving the business. But what is the approach which is adopted today? If you look at the approach which is adopted today, the approach is coming typically is looking at, you look at the what is the current job which is being done, which is a paper proposal form and whatever process flows which are available, and we are trying to convert into digital tools and assets there. So we're coming out with portals, we're coming out with mobiles, and we are to support these portals and mobile, and to help the customer in real time, we are coming out with the chatbots and live chats and other things we are coming out. So the whole focus is the front end journey of the customer should be extremely important. The focus is on UI and UX, the user experience, and how the user navigates through it. So that's what the whole focus has been, and to really come out with solutions there. But we have to ask this question. If you just develop a portal, if you just develop a mobile, and if you put chatbots and live chat and other things, will you get the cost efficiency what you really require? Will you be able to get the end-to-end? Will you be able to sell all the types of products what you are thinking? You may be successful, yes, for a few types of products like travel and some things which are very simple, which can be done everything on the front end side, we can finish it. But when you really get into complex products like life insurance and even some sort of a simple savings products, you may get into trouble, because you will not be able to do with a simple portal all these activities. It really requires some sort of a back-end support. It really requires some sort of an expertise which needs to flow inside to make this happen. So the question what I'm putting is, just developing blindly portals, is this not the tip? Is what we are putting as a question there.
Well, thanks, Mohan. As you rightly highlighted, automation is way different than digital transformation. In fact, I would say it's just a subset of digital transformation. And providing convenience through the digital portal is just the beginning. We have a long way to go when it comes to customers changing expectation, especially in today's scenario. Now, when you go to a customer, he requests in AM and he expects delivery by PM. If you see our old culture, people used to interact over the counter face to face. They were pretty fine with delivering policies after a few weeks or few months. And if system showed any error, they would handle it internally. But Mohan, now it is changing thanks to our newer technology. So how do we address these challenges and how do we manage customer expectation and change management? I think this is what would be going beyond the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, what you precisely put it. So we really need to look at it holistically to address beyond the tip of this tip what we are talking about. So we really need to look at the digital transformation holistically end to end, really look at it holistically end to end. Now I will just try to put this question, why digital transformation? Previously, developing a portal is what we are doing. What we are doing is develop a portal, develop mobile solution is the actual things what we are doing. But why are we doing a digital transformation? So I would put it like we want to change the business model. Here the key thing is we really want to change the business model to adapt to the current contemporary context of the whole what is a digital ecosystem what we are having it. So we really need to look at change in the business model to get what 5 benefits, business benefits. I have put it down. It's not something totally new, but just to put it into the context, we really need to get sustained reduction in cost. That means something, a journey once it starts, it helps in continuously reducing your cost ratio as things move forward. That is one aspect of it. Second is sustain new revenues. That means once you, that gives you the agility to come out with various ideas to really look at increased revenues on an ongoing thing, sustain one. And continuous improvement. Okay, whatever activities you're doing, there should be visibility for you, a transparency for you, so that you will try to you will keep on asking these questions, why this activity is done, and try to optimize at the micro level and start adding the value inside, and also add value to the customers. And also the ongoing discovery of new value for the stakeholders. So we really look at listening to the customers very sensibly. That means we have the time, we have the means to listen to the customers in real time and try to provide some spot on the spot improvements, on the spot responses to the customers. This is another area where it is required. Not like you take something and you reply after 3 days. It has to be some sort of immediate replies to the customers. And then the last one is agility to tap into new avenues, because the world is changing rapidly. Insurers are coming and disturbing the value. Insurtechs are coming and disturbing the value chain of existing insurers. They are threatening various components in the value chain. So it's high time insurers need to really look at what is required to really make it into an agile organization, which is able to listen and which is able to respond to the needs immediately. So these 5 things are important for the transformation. And most important next step is to look at, to make these 5 things, to achieve these 5 things, the 3 aspects what we really need to be ready with is the people, which is your staff, which is extremely important, that the people need to be aligned, and they need to be oriented, and they need to have a varying different mindset. That means they need to transform their mindset to make this happen, and the process and the rules and the data. So these 3 things need to be transformed on the back end side. So only if these 3 things are transformed on the back end side, you may not get that desired benefits on the front end changes what you are doing it. So let's look at it actually. I'm going back to the example of the portal what we took it. So if you really want to make this digital engagement on the front end portal for either for a customer or for distribution effective, you require support from back office in terms of these things. I'm just putting an example here. I'm putting 4 examples here. So you require an ability to launch quick products. When I say products, I'm referring to the product, it's the validations, its controls, its calculations, and various rules of the product, those things. And some sort of automated underwriting, because consumers today demand straight through processing. They want real time, and they want, if they have to go for a medical, they want to know immediately what is the response of underwriting. So all these things, if some sort of automated underwriting, if it is there, it will really transform things up on the front end side. And for those of the customers who have stopped their journey in between, there should be some sort of follow-ups, document management, and there are many other things which will come into picture, which are the back-end support assets and expertise which are required to make this digital transformation on the front-end side as a success. So this is what it is required. Now, there is a pitfall here. Usually what happens is insurers do understand this, and when they engage and do the projects, what they usually do is they come out with different projects and different strategies for different stakeholders. First, they will have a project for all the distribution agents. They come out with the vendor, the new vendor will come into picture. They look at the legacy system. Legacy system is not supporting many things. So what they will say is, I will help you in developing products in the front end. So the new business aspects and some of the calculations are done at the front end side, and underwriting to whatever extent they can do it, they will do it in the front end side, and CRM, everything is put across, and they enable it. Next, the customer journey. Another vendor will come into picture. They will start up another project, and they will have their own product configurator, all their own underwriting. So another one. Partners, you need APIs. So another vendor will come and do things up, and another new thing will come into picture. So likewise, when you get into this aspect of it, what is essentially happening is you are replicating things, same things again and again at different locations, which can land you into various challenges in future. Quickly putting it on the challenges here. So you won't get a centralized control when you do this. So because it's all over the place and you want to make one change, you need to do changes at multiple places. There is an overhead there. And human error, exactly, you are doing the same change here and there is not the same change. The human error will come into picture. Calculation mismatches. The calculations which are done at the portal side and the calculations done at the legacy system are different. So when you transfer the data, for some scenarios, the legacy system will not accept it and will change the value. So which will create a trouble for the customer service to go and convince the customer or do some adjustment there. And the time to market new products. Assuming you want one new product to be launched in all the channels, so it is very difficult. You need to launch in core system. You need to go to each of these portals and then put those products and make it happen actually. And finally, what we're talking about is a unified experience for the customer or the agent in terms of this omni channel, where they want to get a feel that they are dealing with one organization, not in silos. So this is difficult to achieve if we go with this approach. So the challenge is now, what should be the approach? We want to do the digital transformation. We want to do the empowerment of our stakeholders on the front end side. We want to develop the portals, and the portals require the product configuration and other things. So how do we handle it? Because we have different stakeholders. There is a variation in requirement across different stakeholders, definitely, because the way agent looks at his journey is totally different from a customer journey. Agent can be quite more advanced in handling things, but customers, they want a simpler journey, simpler way of buying things on their own. Partners, they want totally different. So we have different stakeholders with different requirements, but we really need to see how we can manage this whole thing in a centralized way without compromising on the empowerment what we are extending to them actually. So the way you need to go about is, I just put it oversimplified into one single sentence here. Just you need to focus on how you can identify and centralize your expertise and data. So the focus should be, what is your expertise, what is your data, try to focus on it, try to centralize that whole thing into one place, and you need to look at decentralizing all other things, all the rest of the things. So if you have this approach, identifying what is critical, what is your core competence, which you are focusing on, and centralize it, then rest can be decentralized. So let's look at it. When I mean by expertise means what actually. I'm giving examples here. Your product development is definitely the expertise of a core insurance organization. Pricing and underwriting, auto underwriting and various underwriting, other rules. So these are all the things where you need to look at all your expertise areas and put into a centralized place. That is extremely important. And then once you do the expertise, once you identify the expertise area, the focus should be, the approach or the foundation should be like this. We need to look at centralizing expertise, which what I mentioned just now. Then once you centralize the expertise, you should be able to decentralize all the work. And once you identify all the work which can be decentralized, you can either handle in two ways. One is empower or outsource. So when I say empower, I'm talking about empowering the stakeholder who is the beneficiary there, which is the customer or the agent or the partner. We're directly empowering them to do the job automatically by themselves. Second is outsource. Those are the things which have to be done by your staff. you have to question again, why should my staff do it when a particular third party who's maybe better than doing it can do it. In today's context, insurers are already outsourcing many things like printing function, dispatching function, and all those things. Likewise, even the other aspects of the value chain also you can really look at it, like reconciliations, matching, whatever you are looking at it as part of the value chain. Why can't you see how you can push it out, which is just a work area, which is not a real core expertise area? You can look at outsourcing it. So this is the fundamental way of splitting things. And once you have your centralized expertise, the next step is to componentize it. This is extremely important, that once you identify it, you need to componentize it. And when I breaking it down, I'm saying it will be coming out in terms of rules and processes. It will be in components, and this need to be for the process. We need to look at connections. That means whatever is happening on the front end side, the back end staff should have the connectivity to ensure that they are able to see things real time, what is happening on the front end, and they should be able to respond to any exception scenarios in real time, so that people feel the care when they are looking when they are using the front end portals and solutions. And exposing rules as API, this is mainly for your what to say, all your product rules, underwriting rules and all, to put a control. This API is for you to put the control actually. And the next and the most important thing is the data aspect of it. When you are centralizing the data, will really help out in analytics and getting you actionable insights, and these insights can be fed into the front end in terms of either exploration. That means you can monetize the data by providing your agents to go for cross-selling and upselling, or it can be for the customers the next best product or the next best rider, what you want to push it for the customer based on your analytics, you can push it. Or look at, based on the data, you really look at what should be the extra rules, what you need to introduce to help out in converting your claim ratio.
Check, we can see this.
Are you able to see the slides? Is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So this is, I would say, is the fundamental. So ensuring that we need to centralize the expertise and decentralize everything. But at the same time, whatever the expertise we are centralizing it, this expertise need to be converted into process and rules, and the rules should be able to control the whole front end activity. Whatever front end activity, rules should automatically control things, and process is for the people, your staff, to really look at what exceptions can happen and step in and then immediately respond to that particular exception scenarios and solve the problems on the spot when the exceptions hit at the front end side actually. So this is what we are looking at. So fundamentally for process, you would require some sort of a BPM for your staff. So really you need to look at it in terms of process flows, where the staff needs to have some method, like different what to say, activities are happening on the front end side. Staff should be able to get the input and they should be able to act on it immediately. So I'm coming back to the iceberg now. So we need to really address beyond the tip here. So when you have a portal, we really need to look at the overall back-end transformation, which is extremely important to make the front-end transformation sustainable and agile over the long run. That means once you come out with your front-end portals with back-end ability, you should be able to launch new products faster. You should be able to be agile to the market. You want to add new business rules, you should be able to add the new business rules immediately. When the regulations change, you should be able to quickly introduce the rules in the centralized place and then push the particular rules across all the portals. So there are various external change impacts which will come into picture. All these impacts are shocks what we can see, which can come from external things like market forces or regulatory forces. These things can be gracefully handled if your backend architecture is smooth and supportive to make it happen actually. So this is what is required to be done. So one way of handling is best way of handling is to replace your legacy system with holistic core solutions. Because usually sometimes what happens is legacy systems will start and over time, because of unmaintainability, many things will be done outside manually or done by some other systems outside the process. So there will be challenges in the legacy systems. the best way is to look for a good legacy system, good core system, which can give you the centralizing of expertise, help in product development and validations, help in pricing and calculations, help in underwriting, APIs, claims validations. Likewise, you can keep on adding things. I'm just putting examples here. All other things they should be able to do it, and provide APIs so that the front end can be controlled using that actually. So
sorry, Mohan.
Yeah.
I think some of them can't see the slides. Can we just check on the presentation control? Sorry about that, everyone.
It's not seen?
They are not able to, some of them can't see the slides. I think they are viewing the video. Sorry, just 1 second.
Oh, I'm very sorry for that. I didn't realize it. I'm presenting the slides and now?
Yeah, now we can. Yeah. There was a comment from few people, so that's why I was just checking. Yeah, I think you can continue. Let's see how it goes.
Now can see.
Yeah. Now can see. Yeah.
Now can see?
Yes, yes. You may continue. Sorry about that.
Oh, I think I ran through the whole presentation now, I think. Maybe.
No, we could see the slides.
Okay, very fast. I think I'll not go into it. This is what I started with the presentation. I was talking about automation, and I was talking about as-is automation. Now you're able to see, isn't it now?
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I think everybody can see now.
Okay. Then we talk about difference between automation and transformation. Then we took this agriculture as analogy and tried to look at it end to end. That means looking at the business transformation end to end to provide the overall value. Then we got into the insurance, where I was explaining about a value chain, insurance value chain, and objective of the value chain now, objective of the organization is to shift this vertical line. That means when you want to transform, what we are trying to do is we are trying to empower the distribution or customer by shifting as much activities as possible, which can be done at the portal side itself, and the backend becomes lean actually. That's the objective of the whole digital transformation. And here we are talking about when you say external stakeholders, we are talking about customers, distribution, and also the partners. Three parties we are looking at empowering so that they can self-buy, self-serve, be self-reliant, and also look at new opportunities. And usual approach what is adopted is to digitize things. That means you are coming out with the portals and mobile, and to support this portal and mobile, you come out with technologies like chatbot, live chats, and everything. But all these things are still a tip of the iceberg only, because unless you address something on the back office, you cannot do much. You can't get much benefits here on the front end side. So then we looked at the 5 objectives of or the end in minds of the digital transformation. Why are we doing digital transformation? Where we are fundamentally looking at the business model. We really need to look at change in the business model to adapt to the current ecosystem context. That is the fundamental requirement here. And 5 objectives what we goals what we looked at is sustained reduction in cost, sustained revenues, and continuous improvement in terms of quality, ongoing discovery of new value for the stakeholders. So really be sensitive to the stakeholders and understand the value and then provide that value. Agility to tap new avenues for the business. These are the 5 areas why we are doing digital transformation. And the 3 elements which needs to be 3 important things which need to be addressed in digital transformation on the back end side to make it successful is people, the process, and the rules, and the data. Okay. And took the example of digital transformation back. Now if you talk about these portals, to make this digital transformation successful for either for agent or for customer, you really require this back support in a generic way. So if you don't get this support, the front end portal is just a data capture thing. It's just a digitization. It is not a transformation, is what we discussed. So you would require product support in terms of validations, calculations, underwriting, automated underwriting, some sort of CRMs and follow-ups, and many other things, various rules and other things is required. So, but the pitfall is sometimes when you approach projects in different times and different vendors, different ways. So, what will happen is the producer portals, the portal for producers will have its own supporting assets. The portal for customers will have its own supporting assets. So, we are proliferating all our expertise into different areas. So, which can land up into various challenges in future. The challenges what we seen is we should look at there is no centralized control and overhead is there. You need to change at multiple places. When you do changes at multiple places, human errors will come into picture and calculation mismatches can come into picture. What you have done, the formula there, the front end side and the back end core system formula will not match. So it will get into a trouble. Time to market for products and also the omni channel. So these are the pitfalls you will face it if you address transformation in separate individual projects actually. So you need to address it as a holistic organization. So what should be the approach? The approach is you really need to look at centralizing your expertise and decentralizing the rest of the thing actually. So which means you have to list down what is your expertise areas and then try to see these expertise areas are not proliferated across the organization and these expertise areas are centralized at one place within the organization. So I'm giving examples of expertise areas only here, not the holistic one. So product development, pricing, underwriting, these are all the expertise areas where you need to identify. And then the foundation we talked about in the digital transformation. So once we identify the expertise areas, we have to look at it in terms of what is the other thing which can be decentralized. That means only expertise need to be centralized, everything else can be decentralized. So that means we can push it to the front end actually. So when we do push it to the front end, the two ways what we talked about, empower, this we discussed previously, empowering the customer, agent and partner, the party who's the beneficiary, we empower them, or outsource. That which is being done by your staff, you need to also question those of the components of your value chain, why it is being done by the staff, why it can't be looked at outsourcing and it can be saving on cost and saving other things on the longer run. So once the expertise which is centralized is identified, you need to really look at how you can componentize it in terms of process and rules, and the rules can be exposed as APIs for your front end. So the rules are intended to control the front end flow. That means ensuring that you will get you are compliant for regulations, compliant with calculations and everything. The rules are extremely important. Your risk management, everything will come into picture, and the connecting of the process is extremely required for your staff to really handle the exception scenarios which can happen, and your staff can be there on the spot to really help out in the exceptions which can happen at the front end side. And the last and the most important thing what we looked at it is the centralizing of data. So once you have the data centralized, you can always have a good analysis going on, analytics going on the back end side to get some actionable insights there. And these insights you can look at how you can monetize it. When I say monetize it, you can give the leads to the agents to go and do the upselling, or for the customer portal you can look at what is the next best rider the customer can take, which are the customers who are ready to buy the next best product. So all these analytics you can come out with it and monetize it. Other is to really look at the risk management and come out with more rules to control things on the front end side. In this way, it is an ongoing thing which where your organization keeps on learning, and at the same time generating revenue, also reducing the cost. And it's important that your staff should have the connectivity to the front end. That means whatever portals are happening, there should be a centralized place for the staff to have a view of what is happening and where the exceptions are hitting, and they should be able to go and address the exception and also improve the process to address the exceptions. So I think at this point of I think this is the last one. So addressing beyond the tick is extremely important, where we are transforming the back office to enable sustained benefits. That is extremely important for actual digital transformation on the front end side. So one way of looking at it is you need to look at replacing your legacy core system. This is one option, is to replace your legacy core system with a holistic core solution. And this new core systems should have capability to centralize the expertise, provide product validations, pricing calculations, and auto underwriting APIs, claims validations, all the things, whatever it is, the whole assets expectation, it should have it, and it should be able to provide as APIs to the front end. So one example of such core systems I'm putting it here, so which is modular and componentized, which can help you out in getting this done actually. And sorry for the display. I think I had to rush through again quickly.
No worries. Thank you, Mohan. Just to add on, we have some experience recently in one of the insurance company in Malaysia. We are the general insurance company. So we did we centralized their auto underwriting rules and pricing rules for their motor insurance business and used IBM ODM for that, which was for both tariff and D-tariff. And what we did is we centralized it at one place so that it can interface with all their application. And at the same time, we have componentized in such a way that we have more than 100 components with around 40 to 50 rules combined both underwriting and pricing. And the reason we did is because changing it and implementing it became very smooth. So we changed one rule and we implement it directly. So we don't need to worry about the other rules because it's componentized in such a way. So I think what you mentioned is exactly going with that. Centralizing it and componentizing are the key elements when it comes to start your digital transformation journey.
Perfect.
Well, also to move further, your touch about the core system here. Now let's talk a little bit more about the legacy system. I think which is my favorite topic. We have already discussed many times on over the course of our job. So we all know that legacy system provides stability. They're very good at doing their basic operational work, good at data management, and good at reporting areas, and they're there for forever. But still, there are gaps when it comes to providing speed to issue new products or reduce turnaround time or integrating with other third-party systems. For smaller companies, as you said, it is still manageable to replace the system. But when it comes to larger companies, replacing these legacy systems requires larger time and budget and requires risk mitigation. One of our guests also highlighted that if you want to digitalize your journey, you need to first modernize your backend system. And they did ask about what is the first step. So I think maybe you want to talk about that. And is there any alternate way for these companies to achieve their digital transformation objective without replacing the system, but to modernize the system?
Perfectly. Thanks, Jitin. I think that is the second way. I put it here one way now. The second way is to look at digital transformation with modernizing the core system. That means we really don't want to change the core system for various reasons, because we have large insurance companies. If you are a large insurance company who has got around 200 over products with more than 1 million policies, and you have got a web of other applications which are sitting on the core system, your financial GL system, your distribution commission system, so many things are integrated, it is all stable, and all your regulatory reporting are all going fine. And so with all this investment, sometimes the insurers don't want to change their core system, but still achieve the digital objective end in mind. We really need to look at the digital transformation objective to be achieved, but without disturbing much of the core system. We need to achieve it. So how to handle it? So the way to look at it is to look at modern technologies on top of the core system to modernize the core system without creating much of disturbance for the core system. Let's see how we can do it actually. So when I talk about modernizing, I'm fundamentally coming back again to look at the expertise areas. So we really need to look at coming out with how we can centralize the expertise and then move it out of the core system. So what we are doing is we are trying to move the expertise out of the core system, but at the same time ensure that the core system's key capability, which is maintaining or managing the system of records, is not disturbed, and the ecosystem or the internal ecosystem is not getting disturbed by doing it actually. So how do we achieve this? Let's look at the 4 ways we are achieving it in a step-by-step manner. Okay, and we can take any one step or more than one step at a time. We can do it. So first is to look at enriching. So when we talk about enriching, here I am talking about creating components outside the core system and ensuring and supplementing the core system. So what we are doing is we are creating components outside, and on behalf of the core system, these components are acting on behalf of the core system. So such sort of an approach what we can adopt. So the examples can be, you can look at product configurator. So come out with if the core system has got limitations on launching new products, new flexible products, new calculations, validations as APIs, all these things, it has got challenges to give it. So try to come out with a product configurator as a separate modular solution outside it. And this product configurator allows people, the actuarial and all the other teams to collaborate and develop the products, and then publish the product validations as APIs, calculations as APIs, and also even illustrations can also be extended to it actually. So what happens is we are centralizing this one area. Other aspect is enriching with auto underwriting. If the core system has got limitation in giving a real-time auto underwriting results to the front end, so what we can do is we can look at all the auto underwriting rules. I'm just putting some examples here. So all these auto underwriting rules can be put into a centralized expertise rules engine, and this rules engine can be exposed as APIs to all the portals, including the core system, if it is ready to consume. So this way we can enrich the core system without doing much of disturbance to the main flows of the core system. So example of auto underwriting, I'm just putting it when we put into the rules engine. So we can just put it as a flows here like this. The second approach is modernizing. So when we talk about modernizing legacy, we are talking about the first aspect is to come out with workbench. So here what we are doing is, previously I touched on this connectivity when I was talking about the staff. The staff need to have centralized, that means one dashboard. Because people hate to go through different systems and do their work. For example, if they have to do one activity, if you give them a simple dashboard with all the information what they require in one screen, they will be quite glad to look at everything and make a judgment, make a call and do their activity. But if you ask them, take this paper, go to that system, take the value, go to another system, take the value, and you keep on putting a flow like that, it is always frustrating for the staff to go through different system, take the values, reconcile it, match it, and then make the job. For example, you're talking about claims. You want to process a claims. I need to go to the core system, take the value, go to the document management system, look at the previous documents. So many things I need to do it to really validate the claim. It's not going to be a good thing for a staff who means it's going to not help him out actually. So we really need to look at empowering the staff and at the same time connecting the staff to the front end digital portals. So here what we call it as a workbench. That means we are not doing any big change to the core system. We are taking the data from the core system and also other systems and trying to give a centralized dashboard for the staff to quickly look at everything and make a judgment, and based on the judgment take the next steps actually. That's the workbench. Example, I'm just showing an example of a workbench here. Underwriting workbench. So this is an underwriting workbench where we implemented one of the customers where it is connecting with multiple different systems, core system, document management system, that third-party systems, and so various other things it is connecting, and it is giving all the information, blacklisting, everything it is connecting, it is giving the information at one single screen for the underwriter to make a call. So with this screen, the underwriter need not go to different screens to make a judgment. Everything is there. What is passed, what is failed, what is correct, what is not correct, everything is there. He just makes to make a call here using this one screen. So this workbench gives it mimics to a good extent the transformation what is required, because any exception coming from the portal can also be routed to the workbench so that the underwriter can make the judgment or any other person can make the judgment. The next step is to really look at it at the next level, which is totally externalizing the function. Here we are talking about retiring a particular function from the core system and externalizing that function into a new technology layer and bringing in all the new things what is required into that particular layer. So giving an example here, the new business, complete new business can be retired from the core system and the new business is built outside. So the whole new business aspect, whether it is coming from a customer portal or distribution or call center or anything, wherever it is coming from, okay, all these things can be routed to one place, and then the whole thing can be processed in real time, and results can be given back to the portals. Exception cases can be handled for underwriting, case management can be done, and once the policy is ready for issuance, we issue the policy and transfer to the data to the core system for further servicing. So we are trying to externalize function by function and slowly reducing the dependency on the core system. And the last one is the same, externalizing the function when we really look at it on a whole scale, where we are moving out all the expertise which is required for all the operations into a new layer, and the core system is just managed as a system of records. Okay, so this is an approach where we are looking at end-to-end value chain by enriching with new components on top of the core system. So I just put everything into one context here. So you can do the modernization in 4 steps. You can jump in between also. Okay, one is enriching the components, creating a workbench, or externalizing, or looking at an overall transformation of everything end-to-end actually. So I'm just putting the examples of what can be done in each of these lines. For example, yeah, Jiten.
Yep, thank you. Someone just to add on to your part, I think just want to tell the audience over here that we already developed some of these components which can smoothly be integrated with any legacy system, especially using RPA, business rule engine, artificial intelligence, business intelligence, analytics, and user experience. So we have a product configurator ready, which can talk to multiple systems and can have centralized rule. We also have underwriting rules, as I just explained before this, that we already developed and we're already using both for general and life insurance. And we have used completely like IBM BPM, IBM ODM, IBM Watson, Oracle Analytics, Oracle Cloud, Red Hat Process Automation Manager, our system, Microsoft Power BI for these initiatives. And just to touch upon the workbench, since you mentioned, like, this is very close because we recently did one of the project where we implemented just the workbench part. So just to understand it better, it is like applying a stent for blockages in the artery of the process. And again, we have used IBM BPM for this. So this is another critical part. So one of the audience mentioned or asked that what is the first step? So this is how you start. If either you start by a component or you also start by one function and you can, or sub function, just take it out of new business and then, prepare that, develop that. And then once it is ready functioning, then you move to the second sub function and so on. And once you have it ready, then you complete a new function comes out. And then in the end, it's like a hybrid of business components and technology used to elevate the legacy system. So this is how the process moves. But the first step is start with the smallest component which you can think of and proceed with that. Again, Mohan, just to bring it again, we can invest in technology and we can modernize the system or digitalize the whole system. But one of the most important point, as you covered in your previous slide, is empowering people. You mentioned about agents, customer, and partners. You touch about empowering employee, but I feel empowering employee is very, very important too. Let me share a brief experience I had lately. So I had some technical queries, and to address those, I went to this website of a very, very big organization. I cannot take the name. I chose the live chat option over there. Again, the digital front. It was very effective, to be very frank, and very impressive. I got my answers promptly, and in the end, I chose to speak to representative. And chatbot gave me 2 time slots based on my convenience. And not only that, they even sent me a mail of the whole discussion with the link for the meeting and also another email reminder for 10 minutes before the meeting time, which was supposed to be like 6 p.m. Again, if you see, the process was very well defined. The automation was very well defined. But before I even go, I was already happy that I have a good impression. I already knew that this company will do something good for me. When I went online, the usual problem, representative never showed up. I could see the meeting started, but he was not responding. I waited for 15 minutes and then I dropped out too. Now, the technology wise, there was no issue. Good process, good functionality. Chat was good, very impressive. But when it came to person or employee, it disappointed me. And the impression of that company went down. So as a company, you can procure the best technology, but if you do not have the proper follow-up, it's of no use. So how do you address those issues, empowering your employee and changing the attitude or, the whole people problem?
Very difficult question you're putting. So this is the, as I told you, you can have technologies, you can have data, you can have everything, but if you don't have people and if the people don't have the right mindset, all is going to fail. That's why I'm saying what we usually say is any digital transformation project, it really requires a digital transformation of the human minds or the staff who are executing the project. So unless that you transform the minds of the people and align it to the particular end in mind, you are not going to achieve the results. Because you just take the example of business rules. The business rules are all over the place in the organization. It will be inside the legacy system. It will be in the heads of the people. It will be there in some SOP manuals. It will be there with the experience of the people. So many places it is all dispersed there. So we really need to put it across everything into one place. It really requires a deep commitment from the people, a change in the mindset of the people to really make this happen. So you have different types of people. You have people who make this happen, help this happen, let this happen, and stop this happen. So make this happen. These are the people whom we want. Help this happen. So these are the people who are good. They do what they are told. Let this happen. They are like observers. They don't really do it unless you push them up a bit. Stop this happen. I think we need to really ask them to go out of the organization to make it happen. So these are the various people and challenges what you face. So changing the people mindset is extremely important for successful business transformation, because fundamentally people are possessive. They don't want change, and they are holding on to their particular activities and areas. If somebody says that why this activity is done, they get into an argumentative mode that this is extremely important, you don't know insurance, and all these things will come into picture. So really need to get into senior management, really need to step inside, really need to educate and then empower, that means transform the mindset of the people to really get this happen actually. So this is what is extremely important. And it's important, what will happen is any of this digital transformation project will create a disturbance in the roles. That means current roles of people will get disturbed. So this needs to be anticipated, and this needs to be managed in a proactive way. People need to be reskilled and relocated into different areas. So all these things need to be planned properly, or else it will create political problems inside the organization, and the project will get into a different mode actually. So it's extremely important. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Mohan. We're running out of time, so I'll just have to cut you over here. And thank you so much. And this also addressed one of the point mentioned by one of our guests, Mohammed Suzon, that first we need to train our people to take the full benefits of technology. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed this session. I'm sure our audience had a fruitful afternoon too. Just to summarize what we discussed today, the digital portals are just the tip of the iceberg. It is very important to empower customers, agent partners, and even employees. Key to digital success is to centralize expertise and data and to decentralize rest, and component the expertise and create interfaces for other application. Analyze the data and get actionable insights for a holistic view. In the end, transformation is a journey, and legacy system can be modernized. One of my old mentor once said, if you can't change the legacy system, change the legacy system. And today Mohan said, if you can't change the legacy system, then modernize the legacy system. So with this, let's take some of the questions posted in the chat room. We're just going through some of the questions and some of the comments. So I think let's start with Srinivas. He did mention that this will also improve customer satisfaction. Well, yes, that is the end in mind, that customer satisfaction is the utmost importance. Once you have customer satisfied, everything goes accordingly. And then Mohammed Sozon did mention that it's an excellent topic. Thank you, Mohammed. In the context of Bangladesh insurance market, people need to be trained to take the full benefit of technology. Like we just discussed, it is very, very important, yes, to have the right set of people and the right set of training so that they can also use the technology well. Okay. Just going down. Srinivas did ask a question that automated underwriting, does it include machine learning and AI? Mohan, you want to take that or?
What is it? I didn't get the
automated
question.
Underwriting, does it include machine learning and AI?
Yeah, definitely. Once you start with automated underwriting, once you put your data and analytics, you can always improve your underwriting and refine your underwriting using the AI and machine learning.
So when it comes to, again, just to add on to that, so auto underwriting is one component where you define the rules, what needs to be done. When it comes to the manual underwriting, this is where there's a gap from auto underwriting to manual underwriting. There's still many places where we can even automate the manual underwriting. This is where our AI would come. Just to give an example, like the reference, like last year, I underwritten a vehicle, for example, and I gave 10% loading for that. So my system here can actually immediately see that for similar scenario, similar life assured or a similar vehicle assured, there's a 10% of loading applicable. So that automatically starts coming in as a part of AI and become a rule. So next time a case comes in, auto refer to a 10% loading. So this is how it is done. And then we have again another question. As we understand, digital transformation leads to a newer requirement for backend system. So we understand modernized backend system step by step, which is the first step. I think Mohan recently just answered that once we start modernizing, we have to go step by step. Is there anything else you're looking at this, or does this answer your question? Or you can just type it over here. We will see.
You can unmute at least.
Okay, another question from Srinivas. Please elaborate the opportunities to do marketing through social media like WhatsApp, Facebook, etc. I think it's
a different topic.
Yeah.
It's a different topic. We'll take it some other time actually. Okay.
Correct. We will take this as a suggestion, and maybe we'll bring another webinar to address those social media marketing side. Okay. Again, this also will include your AI in itself. Another one is my general insurance brokers want to inquire his own portfolio. What is your suggestion in this case? How this can be done?
Yeah, we need to give the producer portal for them so that they can not only do their inquire their portfolios, and also we can empower them with some sort of whatever simple products can be sold to start with actually.
Right.
Then.
Okay, and digital transformation requires a lot of new skills, a lot of new capabilities. We see a shortage of talent and a shortage of skills. How to retain and reskill the existing workforce? Any suggestions where to start?
Yeah, we need to, there is always a shortage of talent everywhere. So training and orientation and engaging people into the product, freeing them from the routine work, that is extremely important. When you free people from their routine monotonous work, definitely there will be time for people to focus on these projects. This is the area where the emphasis need to be there.
Okay. Now, there's another question is, what is your thought to educate the mind of customer?
A very difficult question. It's a market aspect actually. It's not much more of a market aspect of it here. The most important is engaging the customer in a step-by-step manner and identifying the need and keeping some sort of an emotional touch in the whole sales process is important, and step-by-step education of the customer when they visit your site is important. And the means, for example, you're talking about child education, teasing the customer that do you know that it takes so much amount of money to educate your children, so and so. Do you know that you need around at least 10 times your annual income for your protection? So likewise, these are the things where you need to really propagate in a step-by-step manner with your customers and educate them so that they understand. Because if you see, most of the policies are getting sold at very, very low sum assured with their endowment products with very low sum assured, and the protection gap is very high in most of the countries, including Malaysia, and Singapore also has got a protection gap. So we really need to educate people with simple things. You require at least 10 years of annual income for your basic family protection, and your medical cost today is so and so. So once you educate in a by telling the problem, so people will get the idea to go about and buy up. Up buy extra products on later. Yeah.
All right. So I think one of the question is Srinivasan wants to ask is
Video
KYC.
It's no, I think it's very important now because when it comes to referral case, that means auto underwriting with basic questions is one thing. Afterwards, if the underwriting fails, if the customer says that I've got some problem, is marked as yes. Sometimes what happens is instead of sending next level questionnaire and other things, the best way in this COVID situation is to go with a video KYC or at least a tele KYC. Call the customer, ask a set of questions. You said that you asked this question as yes, mark this question as yes. Can I ask you a few more questions? Would you help me out in replying? Like, for example, he's marked as a diabetic. Just ask these 5-10 questions. Are you on insulin? Are you taking what medicines you are taking? Okay, all these things you ask this question, and then if required for medical, then you ask saying that we are sending a mail to you for a medical. Please go and get your medical check done. So video KYC or a tele KYC, whichever is extremely important to be done. Video KYC can help in integrating with artificial intelligence and other things. So they can even look at expression of the customer, whether they are, what do you say, lying or something like that. But audio KYC can solve the problem in a much lesser cost.
Thank you, Mohan. And one of the last question we have today is what is the estimated duration for the first step, the quick win? So we just spoke about componentizing.
Depends on the number of, for example, you take, if it's underwriting, it's extremely fast. Okay. If it's product, then again, it depends on once we put the product configurator, assuming we talk about componentizing external components. So when we put the product outside, so what will be the time it takes to transfer all the products into this new system? It varies actually. It may take few months, 2 or 3 months to less than 6 months actually.
So just to add on to that, like we already have auto underwriting rule engine, which is already built available for both life insurance as well as general insurance. So if you're looking at one of these things, then we can immediately look into it. We can ask somebody to approach you and to take it further from there.
I think we are running out of time, Jitin.
I think we need to have a hard stop now. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody for your questions.
We should apologize for that screen mishap. Actually, I thought that my screen is everybody seeing my screen. Actually, I'm really sorry for that.
All right. So, with this, I would like to give control back to Varnam, and she has some important information to share. Thank you so much once again.
Okay. After this webinar, so we will send you a feedback form, which will only take up 2 minutes of your time. So I appreciate if you could have some valuable feedback so that we can keep improving to serve you better. Perhaps we can also have a separate one-to-one session if you'd like to gather more information. So I think with that, yeah, thank you and have a wonderful day.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.